Murder of Noor Mukdam. Noor Mukdam was a Pakistani victim of murder. She was 27 years old and daughter of former diplomat Shaukat Mukdam. She was murdered at a house in an upscale neighborhood of Islamabad on 20 July 2021. Noor was held hostage for 2 days, tortured with knuckle duster, then decapitated with a knife. Noor was raped before being murdered. The murder suspect was identified as 27-year-old Zahir Zafar, who was arrested at the scene of the crime and taken to the police station. The parents and the household staff of Jafar were arrested for hiding evidence and complicity because Noor made multiple escape attempts, but the household staff refused to permit her to leave. The murder was premeditated as Jafar later confessed to the police that he intended to kill Noor if she refused to accept his marriage proposal. Zahir Jafar was sentenced to death for the murder of Noor Mukdam by Islamabad Sessions Court in February 2022, while Jafar's guards Iktifar and Muhammad Jan were given 10 years of imprisonment. The timeline began on July 7, 2021, when Jafar booked a one way plane ticket to New York. Jafar's departure was scheduled for 3:50 a.m. PST on July 19th. On July 18th, Jafar made arrangements for a taxi to transport him to the Islamabad International Airport. That evening, Jafar called Noor. Noor was at home in Islamabad's Naval Anchorage neighborhood. At 9:05 pm, Noor left her house and arrived at Jafar's residency around 10 pm. At 2:15 am on July 19th, Jafar came out of his house with a barefooted Noor and both got into taxi. While on the way, Jafar suddenly told the driver to turn back because they were too late and would not be able to reach on time. The taxi dropped them at Jafar residence at 2:35 am. According to the driver, Noor was silent throughout the entire trip while Zahir continued to speak to her. Almost 24 hours later, on July 20, Noor's father sent her three texts at 12:57 am asking her where she was, but Noor did not respond. At 5:48 am, her mother sent her messages followed by calls from two family friends. Finally, at 10:43 am, Noor sent a voice recording to her mother, details of which had not been disclosed to the public. It was her last message before her brutal murder. After she sent the message, Jafar immediately called Noor's mother from his own phone and told her Noor is not here at my house. At 11 am to 7:30 pm, Noor is believed to have been tortured and murdered by Jafar. Noor tried to escape by jumping from the balcony, but she was chased by Jafar and the house security guard handed her back to Jafar. The police are of the view that the murder could have been averted had the security guard informed the police. Noor's decapitated body showed signs of torture and stab wounds. A leaked audio tape revealed that after the murder, Jafar phoned his parents. Instead of calling the police, they called therapy workers, a counseling and psychotherapy center where Jafar worked. Therapy Works staff arrived at the house where one of their team members was injured upon encountering Jafar. The suspect, Zahir Zakir, is a dual Pakistani American citizen and the son of a wealthy businessman, Zakir Jafar, and Asmat Adamji. Noor's father, Shaukat Mukdam, previously served as a Pakistani ambassador to South Korea and Kazakhstan. In addition to the suspect and victim, their families were also acquaintances. Following the murder, a first information report was registered against Jafar under Section 302 of the Pakistan Penal Code, and the suspect was arrested at the site of the crime. 4 days later, Jafar's parents and house servants were arrested on suspicion of complicity in the crime. Police investigated the role of therapy works too. Data recovered from Jafar's phone indicated he had been involved in violence against women in the past. Jafar's name was placed on the Provincial National Identification List and Exit Control List by the Pakistani government to prevent him from fleeing the country. On August 15th, 2021, police were able to match fingerprints and DNA confirming Jafar's involvement in the murder. The decision of the case was announced on February 24, 2022 by the Additional Sessions Judge Atta Rabani. In the judgment, Zahir Jafar was awarded a death sentence for murder, 25 years of imprisonment for rape, while watchman Muhammad Iftikhar and gardener Muhammad Jan were sentenced to 10 years in prison for abetting. The court dismissed the position taken by the defense that Zahir was suffering from any mental disorder and could be acquitted on these grounds. Additionally, the court acquitted Zahir's parents, the cook Jamil, and the therapy works employees as the court could not find any evidence against them. Several appeals were made after the initial judgment. On March 12, 2022, Noor's father would appeal to increase the sentence of the Zahir Zafar, Muhammad Iftikhar, and Muhammad Jan, as well as against the acquittal of Asmat Adim, Zahir Zafar, Jamil, and the therapy works employees, while Zahir, Muhammad Iftikhar, and Muhammad Jan appealed separately to reduce their sentences. The appeal was heard on September 14, 2022 by Islamabad High Court judges Justice Amir Farooq and Justice Sardar Isaac Ishaq. On March 13, 2023, the High Court judges upheld the original sentences of Zahir, Iftikhar, and Jan while also increasing Zahir's life sentence for raping Noor to death sentence. The acquittals were upheld as well. Zahir Zafar would then challenge the High Court verdict on April 12, 2023 in an appeal to the Supreme Court of Pakistan, raising 23 reasons. The murder and its gruesome nature sparked strong condemnation and public outrage in Pakistan and numerous calls to bring the perpetrator to justice. Prime Minister Imran Khan directed the Islamabad police to make no concessions while probing the murder and emphasized the delivery of justice. Overseas Pakistani communities also expressed their grief at the incident, holding vigils for Noor, starting with a vigil in Toronto, which was organized by Zahra Haider. Amid public speculations that Jahir's family would try to wield its influence to stall the investigations, the Jafar's family released a statement to the media where it extended its condolences to the Mukdam family while adding that they categorically condemned his atrocity and forever denounced Zahir and his actions. Zahir's maternal side, the Adamji family, also issued a condemnation in which they expressed their grief and stated, "We have not and will not support Zahir Zafar in any form. We wholeheartedly support the law of the land taking its course. Justice for Noor must and will be served." Clarifying its position on the issue while noting Jafar's status as an American citizen, the US Embassy in Islamabad tweeted, "In a foreign country, US citizens are subject to that country's laws. When Americans are arrested abroad, the embassy can check on their well being and provide a list of lawyers but cannot provide legal advice, participate in court proceedings, or effect their release."